Sometimes people ask me what I'm reading. Well, what I'm reading right now is Jonathan Haidt's very important work, The Anxious Generation, subtitle, How the Great Rewiring of Childhood is Causing an Epidemic of Mental Illness. He is a social psychologist. He teaches at New York University. And this is a very approachable, it's a scholarly book, but it's made for the masses. And it's very clear the way that he lays the case out. He says basically, childhood has changed. For Gen Z, which is why we're seeing the rise in anxiety and depression, it's because we changed the nature of their childhood because of technology. Childhood has historically been play-based. And if a child was talking to someone, they're talking to an individual, maybe two friends. But all their experience of life is in their body. It is synchronous. That means when they speak, the other person is right here. They hear them. They speak back. It all happens at the same time. And it is primarily small group or individual. So they are, and this is very important because, as he points out, a child's brain develops about 90% by age 6, and that is the cognitive abilities, their ability to learn. It's all built in. Then the brain sort of stops development, and it allows a child to go through adolescence without brain development at a large scale. The purpose is the child must now place themselves in society and know how to socialize, know how to interact with humans, because this is why humans have survived. We're not the strongest animal, we don't have the biggest teeth, we don't run the fastest, but nothing on this planet can stand against us when humans get together. When we live in communities, we solve our problems, we build a great life for ourselves. And so human development takes us from this, helpless infant stage of about 3 years, and then they get about 3 more years, their brains develop, and now they kick into their social stage. And so they're learning about many things. The brain is already able to do that. But the biggest thing in their life, going on for 10 whole years, is placing themselves with others. So there's competition, there's how to get along, there's how to share, there's what to do when someone bites you, there's what to do when someone's crying. When you hurt somebody accidentally or on purpose, what do you do? Am I part of this group? How to become a part of a group? How to add value to a group so that they want you in the group? And we just work out all these things. And it's a vital part of childhood. But something happened, and it was actually 2 things that he's going to point out. The first one was because of television and because of hypersensitivity to worldwide news, whereas before you only knew what happened in your own life. You just knew tragedies in your town, people that you really knew. And everybody would respond to that. They'd make food or go or whatever they could do to help. Humans would rally to each other. But now that we had TV in our home and news, it wired us to all the tragedies going on all over the world. And so we began to be very, very sensitive to stranger danger. And we started worrying about security for our children in the physical world. And so don't talk to strangers, whereas before, adults are your help. And parents, it was a coalition of adults that helped shape children, not just your parents. But now it's like, no, just my child and me, and they're pulling them back, and they're afraid for children to interact very much with adults and then with other outsiders. And every time something bad happens, we heard about it. And so became very hyper about that. And then, kids get hurt on playgrounds. We need safer playgrounds. We need safer, and the whole safety concept just went nuts. And in the physical world, the fear factor in adults caused a coddling and a hyper concern for safety that pulled them away from free outdoor play. When I was a kid, I left the house, and I grew up in a good, standard take care of you family, but a free family, because that's how kids were raised. We had our breakfast in the morning. We went outside for the whole day. Our mother had a lot of stuff to get done. We as kids, we were in the woods. We were building forts. We were building dams on the creeks. We knew we had to listen. We couldn't go far enough from home that we couldn't hear Mama call, and then she'd call and say lunch, and we'd come running back. And we had to check in a few times, but largely children ran wild and played with each other. And but that's gone. That's completely gone. And in its place came this technology. And so now we have a wired childhood. And, Gen Z is where this starts, especially 2010. Apple has invented the clear piece of glass phone, the iPhone. And in 2010, the model of iPhone was released. And by 2011, we had not just a camera on the back, but we had a camera on the front. And everything started changing for children. They were no longer face-to-face with other people. This thing started to dominate their life. And then technology companies, largely, if I could skip ahead, we're largely living now at the mercy of the state of California. Tech companies, primarily grounded in San Francisco and the culture of San Francisco, are now in charge of the experience of life happening all over the world. One city having this much power over the lives of people all over the world. And they have created apps that they are well aware are addictive. They're doing things that initially were designed for adults, but they made them intentionally to capture the interest of children. And when Facebook bought Instagram, they brought that mainstream, and now Apple had the front-facing camera, and Facebook and Instagram made the new selfie generation start kicking in, and the hyper addictiveness of the tech and parents who were very concerned about the physical world were suddenly not concerned at all about this telephone, and the smartphone-based childhood began, and with it a plague of mental illnesses. And part of it is in this 10-year gap of time that should be given to risky play, to social interactions with kids, that is now being replaced and pulled out, and they are engaging. If they engage with other humans, it's through the mediation of this device, and it is disembodied. Nobody's required. It is asynchronous. The things that they do are not happening at the same time, simultaneous. People post things, they get them later. I post. I leave my video, it gets picked up later. My body is actually in bed asleep, but I'm still talking on the video. This new kind of life, and we're not talking to one person at a time, eye to eye, reading the cues, because sometimes you say it wrong and you go, no, I didn't mean that, because you watch, No, now it is one to many. And suddenly, the fear that we would have had as young people to go stand on a table and give a speech to the whole lunchroom. I mean, who could get the courage to do that? And now everything they do is on a platform. And so we began a wave of suffering with kids. His book is clearly, I went off on my own little commentary there. But the book is clearly divided into 4 different sections. He's giving you very clear research about phone-based childhood, what childhood is supposed to do in the life of a child, and then what phone-based childhood gets in the way of. And he's going to make, by the 4th section of the book, he's going to give really clear suggestions on what schools and parents can now do, what government must do, what tech companies can do, but they won't. unless they are forced, because when they have been caught and they know what they're doing to boys and they know what they're doing to girls, and he's got charts for the rise of self-harm, and it kicks in the year that the selfie screen starts on phones, and that just changed childhood. And we've lost the play-based childhood in the face now of this tech-based childhood. But he's going to give some very clear directions, and hopefully parents will read this and realize, oh no, this isn't just conservative people. These are scientists, and he's saying you've got to do something, especially no cell phones. Like, kids don't need them, especially if you want a dumb phone just for talking, but no smartphones before high school, no social media before age 16. Schools should be phone free, and far more unsupervised play and childhood independence. These are his suggestions, and you'll see. Anyway, I just think super important book, one of the most important books that you'll read this year.